Hey kids, it's Professor Thomas here with the 10-minute reading review. We can use this reading review as a brush up for kids jumping back in the program to kind of quickly review the things that we learned maybe a while ago. And also we can use this as a tune-up for kids that are getting ready for the mock time trial 1 or 2. All right, so first things first, let's take a look at the note up here and get a definition. We have something coming up in this video called a creepy code. A creepy code is me basically just saying some phrase or some word somewhere inside the video, and I'm going to use this as a spot checking mechanism to make sure kids are actually watching this video. So there will be no text on here, and it's not going to say creepy code in the corner. Nothing is going to scroll across. It's just going to be some audio. So keep your ears perked up somewhere inside here for the creepy code. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, now kids, where we're at right now, you should have learned genius mapping with the professor, and we are going to try and transcend, if you haven't already, into something called speed mapping. So in genius mapping deals with argumentative essays, and these argumentative essays are going to be written in a very predictable format. It's going to be topic sentence followed by details for each paragraph. Then they are going to stick several paragraphs together to come up with a passage. So in genius mapping, normally what we do in the topic sentences, we circle the noun and underline the verb, and then we relate them together by drawing a line after we put all these together. Speed mapping is the same thing, only we're going to do it faster. So genius mapping, on average, kids usually spend about 2 minutes to do that. And in speed mapping, we're going to try and get that down to 30 seconds. There's only one question that deals with the big picture, so it's important for us to save time for the other types of questions. So remember, quick overview, mystery 5 questions, line reference, there's going to be 4, and a big picture question, there is only going to be 1. So it's important to keep that in mind as we're going through. You're not getting a whole lot of points for genius mapping, you're simply getting points for answering questions. So here it is, speed mapping. What we're going to do now is we're going to open this up and give you kids more flexibility. When you read your topic sentence, you are now allowed to go ahead and circle whatever you want. It could be a noun, it could be a verb, it could be a cluster of words. A cluster of words could be a noun phrase or a verb phrase. Circle something and then get out of there. When you go to the next paragraph, you're searching out how they're connected. So circle something else, keeping in mind that what you just circled has to connect back and it has to connect forward as well. Let me give you an example. Jimmy fishing carp. Lake of the Woods. So Jimmy went fishing. Jimmy's a noun, fishing's a verb, carp, noun, Lake of the Woods is a place. So with that, that's going to be good enough. You could go from noun to verb, whatever you want, as long as you're able to link these things together and try and doctor it up a little bit with some cultural coding. Remember, cultural coding is the amazing concept of learning stuff. Don't walk around with your head in the sky. Simply pay attention. Look, who drives what kind of car? What kind of people wear what kind of shoes? Why do people dress that way? Do old people use technological things like cell phones and internet? Does grandma email people? Who's got a smartphone? And so forth. Who uses IBM products versus who uses Apple products. Look, there's small differences, and cultural coding will help you kind of build up the noun and build up the verb. So that's a little bit about cultural coding, dealing with speed mapping. All right, once we get out of speed mapping, we're going to try and get in and get out. It's going to feel really fast. That genius map is going to be very loose. It's going to be much looser, and you might not feel like you really understand 100%, but that's okay because we only have one question. If you blow through the genius map through speed mapping quick, you feel like, I don't like my genius map, you can always answer mystery and line reference questions to build up your genius map and answer that big picture question at the end. That's an option for you. All right, so after we go through and we do our speed map, and while we're doing it, I want you to keep your eyes peeled for these words. They're flag flip-floppers. But, yet, and however. Those words are very important because those are like road signs for us that are going to tell us where the author is going to make a twist and a turn, and it's important to follow in our map where the author is going. All right. Good stinky rule. The good stinky rule basically is going to give you a feeling about the author and what the author's opinion is about the subject matter. So normally what we do in genius mapping is you read the topic sentence and then you throw plus or minus next to each one of those. Speed mapping, we're going to just throw a 1 plus or minus up at the top here. Jimmy, fishing, carp, Lake of the Woods. I feel like nowadays in the 2016 year era, that people don't really need to fish because that's like the main source of food. So why do people fish according to cultural coding? Maybe for leisure. So leisure, and when you catch something, you actually feel good about it because hey, I caught a fish, yay. So the overall theme so far I see is somewhat positive. So get a feeling and do it real quick and get out of there. Once again, this all needs to be done hopefully in 30 seconds. The faster, the better, the more answers you are going to be able to get to, because this is all about answering questions, not reading and not genius mapping. So get in, get out, and answer those questions. All right, speaking of questions, we're going to now start with the questions after we're done with our speed map. Let's start with the easy questions and progress into questions that are a little bit more difficult. Usually the ones that are more difficult are a little bit longer. So which ones are easy? Kids report to me that questions that are short with short answers have a tendency to be easier. So start with all the questions that have short answers. Answers and questions, that leads us into the next thing here. 5 and 6, we're going to deal with the different types of questions. The different types of questions that we mentioned here are line reference and mystery. So that's 90% of the test. The two skills that you're going to need in order to get good at answering questions, mystery and line reference, are locate plus reword. So when I say locate, if it's a mystery question, we need to locate our keyword. Okay, and once we locate our keyword in the passage through finger scanning or from snapshotting, which we'll see in a second, then the answer is going to be right there. Okay, so the math formula for mystery questions we learned in the class with the professor is 8 plus 2 equals 10. So 10 units of brain power is what we're going to need in order to answer any ACT question. So where does that come from? Locate plus reword equals 10. So mystery question, the word that we're going to select is going to be mysterious. It might be hidden in the passage in a couple different places. Maybe the question stem has a bunch of different potential words that we could try and locate. So the hard part of this is just locating the right area. Once you locate the right area of a mystery question, the answer is going to fall in your lap. It's going to be easy. That's why we label this 8 plus 2 equals 10. Make sense? Good. Let's talk a little bit about the keyword selection. So a mystery question is going to ask you about a concept. That concept is going to be hidden in a sentence, and that sentence is going to contain multiple nouns and multiple verbs. So my recommendation is, here's our question, and this is the stem, and here are the answers down here. Inside a mystery question, it's going to ask you something, but it's not going to tell you where to go. So what we have to do is simply underline the nouns and think of which one of the words that you underline is going to appear the least frequent in the passage. Okay, so here's our question. It says Jimmy, fishing, carp, Lake of the Woods, and daredevil. So those are all the words I underlined. Okay, so if I pick the word fishing, maybe fishing is going to be all over. Here is going to be fishing. He's going to fish in Lake of the Woods. And so we're going to have to sub finger scan for the correct area. And I don't want to do that. I'd rather find the correct word that's the most specific. When we're looking for a keyword, you want to be the most specific and find the word that's going to be the least likely to appear inside your passage. So daredevil, if you look at it this way, we throw all these words in here. Daredevil is a lure that you use when you fish, and in particular, that lure might help you fish for carp when you're at Lake of the Woods by a person named Jimmy. So the easiest area to find would be the area that talks about the word daredevil. Okay, that makes sense? So remember, this is all about picking the keyword and getting to the right area. Here's something to keep in mind as we go through. If you find the keyword you're looking for and the answer doesn't pop, it's tough, you don't like any of the answer choices, flat out, kids, you're in the wrong area. So either you picked the wrong word, maybe you picked a word that's too broad, or maybe you've picked a word and that word is repeated more than once in the passage. So for example, let's talk about picking the wrong word. Let's say, back to this example, problem number 7. It said Jimmy fishing, Lake of the Woods, carp, daredevil. Let's say that I picked the word Jimmy, which is a noun, but Jimmy is going to be everywhere inside the passage, so it's not specific enough. Remember, when you pick your keyword, we want to pick the keyword that's going to appear the least amount of times in the passage, because that will get you to the right area. That's the specific answer for the question. All right. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes they may give you the correct word, like daredevil, and they may actually put daredevil here, but they may put daredevil over here as well. So if you finger scan, you find daredevil, and you come down to the answers, and you don't like anything in the answer choices, simply keep reading or keep finger scanning, especially if you see it at the bottom of one of these paragraphs. Is the last least likely place for most kids to look, because they're lazy, is up at the top of the next paragraph. So can't simply keep reading, keep finger scanning for that word, and there it is, daredevil again. Boop, that gives me B. All right, let's move on to line reference questions. Line reference questions, remember, in a line reference question, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and locate plus reword. That is how you answer a line reference. When you locate plus reword, that will lead you to the answer. The answer, once again, is going to be 10 units of brain power. So let's do our math formula here. Since it's easy to locate a line reference question, because you know a line reference question deals with numbers, in line 54. So the location part here of a line reference question, let's give it a value of a 2, because it's easy to find when they tell you where to go. Plus the rewording part is going to equal 10. Well, a simple calculation tells us that the reading rewording part of this, in order to get to 10, has to equal 8. 2 plus 8 equals 10. What does that mean? The rewording part is going to be tough, kids. They're going to test your vocabulary. They're going to test your ability to focus and pay attention and weed through lots of garbage in long sentences. We have some tricks to help you overcome this. The first trick is this. Number 1, letter A, is the spark plug. Let's say that they tell us to go to line 17, and you see that line 17 is quite long. It's 3 lines long. So we have to read line 17, and then question number 9, here's our stem, and then here are the answer choices. Our goal is to read line 17 and then reword that into the answers. And it's tough because vocabulary, subject matter, long sentences with multiple nouns and verbs can get kind of tricky. So what we can do is override the test writer by doing the spark plug. Since this area here, line 17, is a detail, and details support the topic sentence, let's go ahead and read the topic sentence and try and reword the topic sentence into the answer choices. That's called the spark plug. B, we can use the good stinky rule as well. In line 17, it's long, it's dense, it's complicated, but the author gives you multiple opportunities to see inside what their personal opinion is based upon the word selection. Daredevils are amazing lures that jig. All right, amazing lures, that seems positive. I simply read the line in question in a line reference, label it positive or negative. Now I have to emulate that in the answer choices. answer choice A and answer choice D are negative, now I can go ahead and reduce down to 2. That's the good stinky rule, and that's how you would use it on a line reference. Cultural coding. Over here, I could take prior information from just being a kid, just being a person, having uncles, watching YouTube, watching movies, and try and build up what they're talking about. So, for example, I've got an uncle who loves to fish. He's been to Lake of the Woods, and he likes using those daredevils. So, a daredevil, since he goes to Lake of the Woods and catches big fish, that maybe a carp is a big fish. So I kind of look at the answer choices and kind of add a little bit of my own spin based upon kind of what I know about the subject matter. Try and relate this back to the real world, what you already know about it. You'll realize that you're a lot smarter than you think you are. All right, and finally, the last thing here is D, the central theme. So the central theme, after you throw your genius map down, you're going to notice that the questions are going to revolve around the outside of the central theme. So if you reduce it down to 2 answer choices here, look for the answer choice that's going to be closer to your genius map that gives you the central theme. Remember, questions will revolve around the central theme. That's how you would do that. There you have it, kids. It is the quick overview of genius mapping, speed mapping, Q3, and using a little bit of good stinky rule and flag flip-floppers. The creepy code is gold coin. Creepy code is gold coin. If you have any questions about this video, feel free to check in with Professor Thomas. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.